だよね。私たちは化け物。
面白い。
少し混じってるのか。
俺の脳みそを奪うつもりなのか。
この種を食い殺せ。
嘘だって言ってよ。
At the beginning of the film, it is shown that some mysterious aliens known as parasites are making their way into the city from the sea. Then a sleeping man enters the scene in his room. One of the parasites crawls and enters his ear. The man is irritated, but he falls back asleep to calm down. Now a boy named Shinchi appears. He listens to songs at night and puts headphones in his ears. The parasite tries to enter his ear, but to no avail. Shinchi feels an itch and thinks it is an insect when he feels it on the side of his nose. He throws it away as he picks it up. He struggles to squash it. Then the parasite comes on the skin of his hand after he cuts it open. At the same time, his mother also arrives. He exclaims, "Look, my hand has become infected." His hand has no problems when his mother examines it. The next morning, Shinchi is shown feeling an irritation in his hand as he sits at the dinner table. Then a man is shown whose ear is infected. He stands in front of his wife. He opens his monstrous mouth, which was too horrible. And he devours his wife's face with his monstrous mouth. And this was done by this parasite. Then Shinchi enters the scene, who meets his girlfriend on the way to school. She observes his mysterious actions. When he arrives at the school, he tries to hurt his hand, but his hand mysteriously resists and stops him. Then it turns out that his hand has turned into a parasite, and he has been communicating with Shinchi. It also turns out that he not only read Shinchi's books, but also used his laptop, because he was interested in how people lived. Shinchi had stopped it when it tried to enter his body, so it had infected only the right hand and acted with that hand. It declared its name, Mijai. And it asks, "Never cut me off. I will not hurt you, because you are my entertainer." It turned out that Shinchi and Mijai had formed a friendly bond. But all the people who had been infested with parasites were making mischief in the city. They satisfied their appetites by killing people. Mijai, on the other hand, drags Shinchi to a hotel where many parasites eat the flesh of humans, which they misunderstand because Shinchi is also infected and offers the flesh. But they behead him, even though he is still human and not fully infected. But Mijai defends Shinchi and attacks them. Because he too could die with the death of Shinchi, so he acted for himself. The message is sent that the natives will be killed. And no one is able to find out the murderer. Because the parasites did it tactfully and secretly. Shinchi says to Mijai, "Why do not you forbid your companions, the parasites, to eat people?" Thereupon Mijai answers, "You eat vegetables and other animal species, too. In the same way, our food is human beings. So what is wrong with that?" Mijai has gotten into the habit of sensing the type of parasites around him. When you go to school, it tells Shinchi that there is another parasite around. It was none other than his teacher. When she sees Shinchi, the teacher knows he is infected, but she says that you do not have to be afraid of me, because I do not want to harm people. Rather, I know people's way of life, so their characteristics will always remain in me. He leads him to two other parasites, including a policeman and a student. He says this policeman is my spouse and we are expecting a baby, and this baby will be a human being. And we also want to live our lives like human beings. We will not kill anyone in public because it is not harmful. But we want to eat in peace. Do you want to be part of our group? But Mijai does not agree. The next day, the same police officer comes to them. Mijai reveals to Shinchi that he has come to kill us because he found out that we killed a parasite in a hotel that day. Meanwhile, the policeman attacks him. Mijai and Shinchi fight with him. In the end, he kills him. When Shinchi enters the house, he feels guilty for taking a life. In contrast, the parasite is shown entering another person's body and coming out of the policeman's body. It was none other than Shinchi's mother. And she went up to Shinchi to kill him. Mijai says to Shinchi, "She wants to kill you." Shinchi says to her, "Be careful. If you say something about my mother," because he had a warm relationship with his mother. He never wanted to lose his mother. At first glance, his mother's face also turns into a parasite like other parasites. And she attacks Shinchi. He almost dies because of his waste of blood. The next morning, it turns out that he has recovered. Mijai says, "You were badly injured, but I healed your wound with my cells." But the threatening thing was that Mijai's cells had passed into Shin-Chi. He was completely afflicted with infection. Now Shin-Chi goes in search of his mother, but he does not find her anywhere. Then he asks for the policeman and goes to the teacher. But the teacher cannot tell him anything either. Mijai tells him, "I will have to sleep 4 hours a day. During this time you will have to fight alone, because I will not protect you." In Mijai's cells, the characteristics of Mijai had emerged. Now it becomes clear that a student has turned into a parasite. The student who was shown by the teacher. He is accepted into Shin-Chi's school. He pretends to be Shin-Chi's friend. As time goes by, it turns out that he is actually a parasite. The student then murders everyone. Then he also kills Shin-Chi's friend. But Shin-Chi jumps off the building and takes his friend with him. Then the teacher who wanted the student dead shows up. Because her secret could be exposed by this student, she explodes the bomb, but stays safe. The police approach, but the student also ends the police. Mijai tells Shin-Chi that the student is on the roof of the building. He goes to the roof of another building and kills him with an arrow shot. Then he returns to the teacher and asks for the address of the policeman who was a parasite. The teacher tells him the location. The parasite of the policeman was still in his mother. But it is the resting time of Mijai. That means Shin-Chi has to fight here alone. Somehow he cuts the throat of the parasite to kill it. His mother and the policeman are killed later. Then Shin-Chi is shown visiting the hospital to meet his friend. He says, "I will kill all the parasites, one by one." Then someone is shown taking their photos. And he was a spy. The film, part 1, ends here. Now the part 2 of this movie is explained. The time some months after this incident is now shown in part 2. When the military officers learned that the people in the city were being attacked by parasites, and they wanted to save them. So they free a serial killer from a prison. He was able to find the parasites in people. The people are brought before him one by one. Then he gives the names of all the people, but becomes thoughtful when Shin-Chi is in front of him. After careful consideration, he says that he, too, is a human being. When he returns to the house, Mijai tells Shin-Chi that there is a parasite some distance away. They visit a nearby building where a parasite is eating the flesh of a human. When he notices Shin-Chi, the parasite walks up to Shin-Chi, but Mijai causes him to die. Suddenly, Shin-Chi senses someone standing behind him. It was none other than the person who took the photos of Mijai and Shin-Chi at the end of part 1. Then the mayor of the town comes on the scene and speaks for the parasites. He was a devilish person. And this teacher was friends with him. Now it is shown that the teacher gave birth to a human baby. The mayor had known that Shin-Chi was killing parasites. He also wanted to kill him. But the teacher forbids him. She says Mijai and Shin-Chi belong to one body. I want to see how they get along. If I kill Shin-Chi, our parasite Mijai will also cease to exist. So she set this spy on Shin-Chi to keep an eye on him. One day, while out for a walk, Shin-Chi senses again that someone is behind him. The spy suggests that you should report to the police. But Shin-Chi says, "No, the police are full of parasites too." Here Shin-Chi learns that the teacher has a spy on him. He says to the teacher who goes there, "What are you doing? Why do not you hire him?" Thereupon the teacher says to him, "Why are you killing our companions, the parasites? You are still learning how to eat people. After some time they will stop killing them." He is silent and reveals to the spy that the teacher is a very threatening parasite. Be careful. It can harm you as well. But the spy does not trust him. The next day, the spy meets the mayor. He wants to check whether Shin-Chi is telling the truth or not. So he puts the tape in the mayor's room. When the mayor finds out about it, he orders to assassinate the spy. He says that he has become a threat to us. He sends a parasite to his house to kill the spy. They kill his daughter because he is not at home. Mijai informs Shin-Chi that 5 parasites will come to attack you. A man comes to meet them. He was the amalgam of the 5 parasites. Mijai and Shin-Chi explode his head in battle. They think he is dead, but it was only one parasite that had been killed. The other 4 parasites were still alive. The rest of the parasites are alarmed and go after him. Then the teacher says to the mayor, "If I forbade you to send parasites to finish off Shin-Chi and the spy, why did you do that?" Here the mayor realizes that the teacher has developed human feelings after becoming a mother. He is disgusted by this and sends 3 parasites to kill the teacher. Since she is a parasite, she understands that someone is coming to kill her. She calls the 3 to the parking lot and finishes them off while she fights alone. When she returns to her house, she finds that her baby is no longer there. He finds a note there that says, "Come to the bridge for a meeting and your baby is in my care." In reality, this note had been left by a spy who wanted to take revenge on his dead daughter by taking the life of the teacher's baby. The teacher is confused and moves there with Shin-Chi. Shin-Chi tells the spy, "You will get nothing after killing this baby. Because this baby belongs to the human species. You knew that the mayor had hidden many parasites in his building. Now they sent the residents of the building out one by one. They shot the parasites among them after they found them. A serial killer was also present." Then the mayor is shown giving his speech. He says that the humans are the real monsters who wipe out the parasites for no reason. Thereupon, the military officers target him and finish him off. Then the serial killer yells, "He was a human, but he only helped the parasites." When they turn around, they find the man had 5 parasites in him. Everyone shoots at him, but he is not hurt. Then it is shown that the spy is about to throw the baby. The teacher witnesses this and has to turn into a parasite to save her baby. She thrusts her one hand into the spy's body. As a result, everyone learns that she is a parasite. The police start shooting at her all the time. And she had known that now she would cease to exist. She comes to give her baby to Shin-Chi. When she gives this responsibility to Shin-Chi, she dies immediately because she is hit by many shots. Here Shin-Chi remembers his own mother, and he develops the human feelings. Now the police take Shin-Chi for interrogation. But it is reported that a man with 5 parasites killed the military officers. As a result, Shin-Chi goes to that place. But the parasites cause his accident and stop him. He goes to the forest. He says to Mijai that he will track me down where I am until you are with me. He asks Mijai to separate from him. In the meantime, the parasite arrives. He begins to attack him. Shin-Chi and Mijai had become friends in the meantime. So Mijai sacrifices himself and separates from Shin-Chi's body. He asks Shin-Chi to run away from there. Mijai is killed by the parasite. Shin-Chi is depressed about this and moves into his girlfriend's house. She lovingly takes care of him. When he lies down, he immediately notices that his arm is creating another part of Mijai. This happened because Mijai's essence passed into Shin-Chi's body when she healed him. So it can be generated if he wants it. Shin-Chi knows that the parasite will look for my location again because he generated it. So he goes to save his friend's life and says goodbye. When he goes outside, he gets caught by the parasite. When he reaches a mill, he stabs himself in the body with a chemical grounding rod. But he stays safe. He says, "What do you think about me? I will kill other people after I kill you. And other parasites will rule the whole world with me." He almost kills Shin-Chi. Suddenly Mijai is regenerated as his hand. He attacks the parasite. In the meantime, there is a problem in his body and he becomes irritated. Mijai explains to him that the staff contained the multi-chemicals with which you caressed him. Therefore, all the parasites do not want to take possession of his body. All the parasites leave his body, one by one. Now only the skeleton remains. Shin-Chi throws it into the fire, which takes his life. After a long while, everything is routinely shown. Mijai says to Shin-Chi, "No parasite has survived in this world. So we should not live together. I will be separated from you." But Shin-Chi does not agree with that. But Mijai himself has rooted him. And Shin-Chi's real hand appears. And because he is sad, he begins to remember Mijai. Now it becomes clear that much time has passed. Shin-Chi and his friend led a happy life. And they met with the teacher's baby. Suddenly it turns out that the serial killer has returned. He captures Shin-Chi's girlfriend. He whispers in her ear, "The real monster is man." But Shin-Chi's friend says to him, "The real monster is you." They kill the humans. As a result, the serial killer pushes them off the building. But Shin-Chi suddenly goes and saves them by holding their hand. In the process, he realizes that Mijai helped him. The part 2 of the movie finally ends here. Hope you liked the video, and I will meet you in next video. Till then, goodbye and take care.